Hi everyone, so it's about 3 hours now after I made the last video and I've been practicing this briefing quite a bit. I've got it down to 6 bullet points that I've written down, and these are the notes that I'll be using on the day of my standards check. So I'm going to start talking now as though I was doing the briefing on the day. So I'll have a short pause so there won't be much sound for a few seconds, and then I'm going to go straight into saying it. It's about 5 minutes long, which is the perfect length. So here we go. Okay, so if you think back to the last lesson, what did you do? And the pupil says, oh, we did a mock driving test. Yep, and you passed that, didn't you? Yep. So what we're going to do today is we're going to pretend that that was a real driving test that you passed the other day, and you're now a full licence holder. So the aim of this lesson is going to be, we're going to do whatever we can so that over the coming months, you're not one of those people that becomes involved in a crash soon after passing. Because if you don't already know, a lot of young drivers, especially young men such as yourself, are involved in crashes not long after passing the test. So there are 3 things we're going to do today, if you agree with this, that we're going to use to help to avoid having that happen to you. So first of all, you notice today we've got a passenger sitting in the back of the car. So when you pass your test, you're often going to have passengers in the back of your car when you're driving around with friends. So how do you think that's going to affect the car's handling and performance? And the people say, oh, it's about the extra weight in the car. Yeah, so how does the extra weight affect your car? I don't know. What about the braking? How might that feel different? Oh yeah, maybe it's going to be a little bit heavier. This is the people talking. Maybe it's going to be a little bit heavier. We might steer a little bit differently. So yeah, so we're going to have a look at that today. I want you to let me know if you notice any difference with the passenger being in the back, and if you do, we'll talk about that in more detail. But you might need to brake a little bit longer than normal, and you might need to steer just a little bit extra to compensate for the weight. Now, the second thing we're going to look at is dealing with the unexpected. So when you drive, you won't always know what's coming up, you won't always know where you're going. So I'm going to take you to a few places today where there are lots of really awkward roads. Some of them are awkward junctions. There's one thing in particular which I'm going to talk you through, because I don't think you'll be able to do it just on your own just yet. But it's the kind of thing I think if you apply the skills that you've already learned from previous lessons, you should have no problems in handling these things. So they're going to push you, they're going to test you, but it won't be anything beyond what you can do, apart from the one, which is going to be the Ford. I won't tell him that. And I'm going to help you out with that. So what do you think about that? And then the people will give me a bit of feedback. And then I'll say, okay, so the third thing we're going to look at is when you're driving on your own, imagine you've got no one with you and there aren't any road signs. How else could you tell where you're going to go? What kind of technology could you use? And the people says, oh, well, I might use the sat-nav. And I'll say, yeah, so how do you feel today about using the sat-nav? Why don't we give that a go? Yeah, that sounds interesting. So I'll get the sat-nav out. I'll explain briefly about, just follow the directions the sat-nav will give you. And then that's pretty much the end of that part of the briefing. And I'm then going to say, so if you were to drive a car on your own right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not very confident and 10 being very confident, give me a number 1 to 10. How confident would you feel driving the car on your own right now? And it'll probably say, I don't know, 6 or 7, something like that. Okay, so what do we need to have done by the end of today to increase that number? And you might say, well, I just want to drive a bit more on my own. I want to do it without you talking. Maybe using the sat-nav will make me feel more comfy. Okay, so by the end of the lesson, we're going to try and have that number up to an 8 or a 9. But remember, we don't have to achieve that today, because this is part of an ongoing series of lessons. We've still got 6 or so left to retest, so we don't have to do it all today. Now, we're also getting a new car next month, which has got a built-in sat-nav. So we won't be doing too much on the sat-nav today, but I thought that would be a nice introduction, just maybe a short 10-minute section at the beginning to give you an idea what it's like to drive with the sat-nav. So today the responsibility for our safety is going to lie with you. So I want you to be responsible for our safety and the safety of everyone else around us. So what I'm going to do is, I don't think I've used the dual controls now for a few lessons, have I? And the people says no. So I don't think I've used those at all. So you know that I've got them, and we know that they're there, and I will take over control if needed. But I really don't want to be using those unless I have to. But what I'm going to do today is even if things go a bit wrong, even if you stall at a big roundabout, I'm actually not going to help you at all unless there's any real danger to us or anyone around us. So how do you feel about that? And he'll probably say, yeah, that's fine, I'll give that a go. Okay, with that in mind, that's the end of my briefing, so I'll turn the sat-nav on, say to the people, please follow the sat-nav, and off we go. So I think I've covered pretty much everything there. It's better, definitely much better than the other one was. And that was just under just under 5 minutes long, which is ideal. So your briefing should be still 4 to 7 minutes long, roughly. If you need to go into more detail, you can, but you don't want to be sitting talking for too long. So there you go. That's the briefing I'm going to do. I've got the route pretty much planned out. I don't plan it too deeply because, it can change. It can be roads that are closed. But I know the area well, and there are lots of junctions we could do which are quite dodgy. If we do finish early, what I'm going to say at the end of the briefing is, if we get all that done quite early, then on the way back we're simply going to have a look at dual carriageways and large roundabouts, because that's something he wants to have a look at in the future. So that's my briefing done. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to say. Obviously it will be a little bit different on the day, but I've got these notes in front of me. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 13 lines of text, which is 6 bullet points, and that's perfectly acceptable. I'm just going to read that off as it is. I don't want to miss anything out. I didn't mention things about, do you mind if I call you your first name? You're supposed to put that in at the beginning, so I'll add that to the top of my list. I just say, you don't mind me calling you, whatever. But bear in mind, we have been working together for months now, and the examiners are told, if the people and the instructor have been working together for months, they're not going to be introducing themselves to each other. They are aware of that. I'll also mention, if you want to put your window down any time you can, and you mind if I put my window down a bit, if it gets a bit warm, you're supposed to mention those things so that people doesn't get, uncomfortable if you open a window. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I've got one more day left to prepare. Tomorrow I'm actually going to be working more on my route. I'm going to be kind of not driving it, but going online and just getting a rough idea of how long it's going to take. I drove it earlier today, so I've got some timings, some real timings, not just what the sat-nav's going to say. But yeah, that's quite interesting. I just need to work out where to use the sat-nav. I know I can use it at the beginning, and I know I can use it at the end, but in the middle bit, I can't really use it because we're going to be going round and round the block. So the sat-nav won't know what to do if I just tell it to go round and round the block. So yeah, that's the end of this video. Hope that's helped you to see what a briefing should be like. There will be other videos about briefings, but I think it's quite interesting to follow me just 2 nights before my standards check and see the kind of thought process I'm going through. So I hope that's helped. That's covered all the bases. That's how a briefing should be done. And if I do that well, and I don't kind of rush it too much, that will be perfectly acceptable to get a score of 12, which is the top score on the lesson plan. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed that, and I'll see you again soon.